Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Crucible Chat. Yes, it's Saturday, it's that time of the week where I get to talk about whatever the fuck it is I want, and today we're playing, as you can see, Typewriter. This is a quirky little indie game that was gifted to me on Steam by Flaming Monocle. And it's a strange game. It's based around the concept of text and typography, and you play this plucky little colon, as in, colon and semicolon, who has to find all the letters for each typeface. It sounds shit, but it's actually quite a lot of fun to play. It's very soothing, the sound is brilliant. But anyway, this is Crucible Chat. My name is Mike, otherwise known as the Gadget Addict, and it's time to talk about something that's on my mind at the minute. And literally, it's a last-minute entry, because what I want to talk about is the fact that Steam are now letting you pay, or letting people rather letting people charge for mods. And this has kind of gotten my back up a little bit. And I'm obviously not a PC gamer by any stretch of the imagination, but I have had experience of PC gaming. I have had experience of modding. I have had experience of trying to make mods as well and failing miserably. But yeah, so it was revealed earlier this week that Steam are letting people who create mods charge for their work, which in itself is quite a noble thing. People put work, man hours, sweat, blood, all that kind of shit into making mods for games these days. And to a point, they deserve to get recognised, especially like big people like Durante. I mean, Durante is the guy who created the Dark Souls fix, after all, and made Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition on the PC playable. Because before that, it was locked to basically what the PlayStation 3 could manage, which was 720p, 30 frames a second, da. So yeah, it started off, and the main game that they've been kind of pushing with this new feature of being able to charge was Skyrim, because of course that is the most modded game ever. It is the most ridiculously modded game ever, and immediately it was seen on Eurogamer. I see it on Eurogamer. I think it's also been on IGN and Kotaku as well. Almost immediately after this came out, the first mod was pulled for using someone else's work. It was a mod that allowed you to use a fishing rod and go fishing, but it used animations from someone else's mod. And this is where the problems for me start. Because at the end of the day, modders themselves, they are clever, enterprising people, and a lot of game assets are built around the concept of reusability. So things are made in such a way in the actual game code that you don't have to, for instance, animations, okay? So you don't have to animate the walk of every character because they tend to reuse the same ones, or there and about. If you look in Skyrim, female characters will walk all the same way, male characters will walk the same way, different races, that kind of thing, it's all reusable. And then you look at like textures, they're all reusable. A lot of the castles look the same on the inside, a lot of the textures are the same. And that's the kind of idea, it's to make life simpler. And this goes beyond just game development. This happens in like real life development. You make small components that you can reuse multiple times, so you only have to build them once, but you can then combine them in different ways and do different functions. Easy. So modern games are generally built in this way because it's the efficient way to do it. So this modder who created this fishing rod mod, he used some idling animations that another modder had created, just to enhance what his mod would do, or enhance the realism, I believe. But because of that, he ended up on the foul end of copyright, and there was all kinds of kind of bullshit in the background, about NDAs and not giving permission, that kind of shit. But what it boiled down to was the fact that this kid had, well, I say kid, probably guy, had made this little mod for Skyrim using someone else's animation, and then the person who created the animation took exception to it, and then immediately, because this guy was charging and making money for it, and the guy who created the animations didn't ever want to make money from it, he just did it for the good of the community, things got heated. And this was within 24 hours of the concept going live. Now, I haven't got any issue with people being paid for the hard work that they do. Hell, I monetize YouTube. I may only make a few pennies of it, but it makes it slightly worthwhile, I spend a lot of hours doing my YouTube videos, and it's nice to have a little bit of recompense for it. And I can understand someone who's created these mods, they've spent 24 hours or so coding something, or they've learned, they've specifically learned how to use the development tools so they can build awesome new mods. And I understand that people want to be paid for their work. But this is the point where, I kind of draw the line on this one is, right, okay, one, Steam have put down rules on what people can charge. Again, fair enough, stops people overcharging. But then they've also put down rules on who gets paid and what. And it turns out developers who make the mods get 25% of the fee for someone buying the mod. So if you've got some random little skin pack for Skyrim and you charge $1 for it, only 25 cents of that dollar will go to the guy who actually made it. The other 75 cents is split between Steam and, in Skyrim's case, Bethesda, or whoever the publisher of the game is. And then that can trickle down to the developer and so on and so forth. So that in itself is pretty bad, because the people who are doing the work for this, granted, yes, they're using other people's assets and other people's tools, but the people who are doing the work here are getting shafted. In my eyes, anyway. Then, beyond that, you also have this issue of the reusability of the copyright. And it screams to me that it's in bad taste, because I had a quick look on the Steam store, and it seems to me that the people who are charging for mods for Skyrim, tend to be creating small, little, inconsequential packs. The guys who are making the big stuff, I'm talking about the huge mods that add like extra quest lines or add huge dungeons onto the game, they're wanting it to stay for free. They're wanting to do it for the sake of the community. And this then gives this overall disparity between the people who are doing it and seemingly trying to make a quick buck versus the people who are doing it simply for the love. I mean, scroll back to other modding projects. Look at Black Mesa for Half-Life. I mean, that was rebuilding the whole Half-Life game in the Source engine. And that took years. I think it took something like 10 years, nearly enough to do it. And they didn't charge a penny for it. No one ever got charged for it. All you had to do was have a legitimate copy of Half-Life, a legitimate copy of Half-Life 2, which like everybody who's ever owned a PC has, and you could install Black Mesa, and it would work fine. And that, I think, is the real thing that you're losing here, because the modding community has never done it for the money. The modders who ended up making money are people like Gearbox, who made Half-Life Opposing Force. That started out life as a mod for the first Half-Life game and became just something completely else and ended up being an add-on pack. I mean, that kind of thing's great. People are working for free and creating thousands upon thousands of hours for these huge games to expand them, to make them live longer. And they're doing it for the sake of the community. And I know some people would charge if they could, and I know a lot of people who develop the bigger ones would like to legitimize and, release it as an add-on pack rather than a mod, because with an add-on pack you get the stuff like the support of the developer and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, they're doing it for the good of the community. They're doing because they have this awesome concept that they want to create and they want to build and they want to put out there. The people who have instantly gone, oh, we're going to charge for what we've done here, are the people creating skin packs or tiny little bits of inconsequential piecemeal modifications. Or at least that's what it seems to me. I might be wrong here, but this is just from a cursory glance of the Steam store. And to me, the whole system feels wrong. They're doing it the wrong way. What I would prefer Steam to have done would be to have some kind of revenue share or some kind of revenue system for the people who create worthwhile add-ons to games. So you don't get a lot of them, but the kind of people who do create these like 8 to 10 hour epic quest lines that enhance a game and extend a game infinitesimally, those kind of guys, they deserve a reward because they're putting in a lot of effort, a lot of time. I mean, granted, the development tools are already there, they don't have to build the engine or anything like that, but they've still got to write the story, they've got to come up with the concept, they've got to build it, they've got to create the maps, they've got to be like, oh my god, there's just so much that they actually have to do, versus retexturing characters or refactoring an animation or that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to diminish the guys who make the small mods, don't get me wrong here. I just think that for the tiny mods, for the little mods, they shouldn't be charging for them. They shouldn't be allowed to charge for them. There should be some kind of curator, or there should be some kind of minimum limit of what people can charge for. But that's all I've kind of got to say on the subject. Like I say, I would just I think it's been handled very badly, and Steam are going to come off looking worse for it, or rather Valve are going to come off looking worse for it. But anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Have you bought any mods? Have you actually paid money for little bits of modifications? But yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please do hit that like button. If you are new, please do subscribe and come back next week for the next Crucible chat. Right here, my name is Mike, otherwise known as Gadget Addict. Thank you for watching and good night.